Hey guys, Jack Cascio, twicethespeed.com. Today's video, I'm gonna break down the 5 phases of the workout that you need to be doing if you wanna be more explosive, run faster, get quicker, jump higher, regardless of what it is. If you're an athlete and you wanna increase your performance, regardless of what that performance is, you need to break it down into 5 phases. So I'm gonna break away and I'm gonna show you each phase. I'm gonna talk about it in depth. Okay, cool. So the first phase is the dynamic warm-up. Now, a lot of you guys have done this. If you play high school sports or even if you play youth sports, you've done stretches where you're walking out 10 yards and you're going like this, right? And you probably get really bored and you want to yawn. You probably are bullshitting with your teammates in the middle of it. You have to take that serious. Dynamic warm-up is extremely important if you're an athlete. Before you get into the gym or before you do any speed workout or explosive workout, I promise you need to do a dynamic warm-up. You're not doing stretches like this and touching your toes, right? So you're not coming here, you're not bouncing, you're not doing ballistic stretching or static stretching. You're doing things where you're moving, right? So stretches like this, you're moving, you're working on balance, you're working on coordination, you're working on actual fluidity through motion as opposed to just sitting there and feeling like your hamstrings are gonna rip, okay? That is later in this video. I will talk a little bit about that. But you're doing things like this, you're going up on your toe, and you're walking out 10 yards. A lot of you guys are familiar with this. If you're not, we could talk a little bit more about dynamic warm-up. But the key to a dynamic warm-up is you're actually heating up your muscles, right? If you're just touching your toes like this, or you're doing butterflies, or you're doing groin stretches, or whatever you're doing, you're not heating up muscles. You're cooling down muscles. That is stage number 5. We'll get to that in a minute. Stage number 1, we want to heat up, okay? You need to heat up your muscles if you want to run faster, if you want to be more explosive. So you're doing things where you're walking out 10 yards. You're almost getting to the point where you're feeling a little bit of a sweat. You're not feeling too much of a burn. You might feel in your legs a little bit, but you feel good, right? A little bit of a sweat is a perfect phase for at the end of a dynamic warm-up. You should feel a little bit of a sweat. You shouldn't be breathing heavy, and you should just feel ready to go, which leads me in to the next phase, which is the activation phase. That is phase number 2. This one is probably the one that most people skip in their workouts. They go right from warm-up, dynamic warm-up, right into their strength training, right? Or their squats, or their lunges, or their, if they do plyometrics, maybe, but we'll get to that in a second. But the next one is activation. So you want to be doing things, you're essentially taking step number 1, and you're just throwing gasoline on it. So now you're going from a little bit of a sweat to actually starting to break that sweat. So this is the phase between dynamic warm-up, and then you got activation, in between plyometrics. So a lot of you guys have done plyometrics where you're jumping, you're landing on a foot, you're doing tuck jumps, you're doing box jumps, you're doing all these crazy jumps, right? That's stage number 3. But you need to have something to get you to stage number 3 from stage number 1, which is dynamic warm-up. So doing certain things, and for those of you who are big Twice Speed followers, you know I love the quick feet drills. You know I love doing things like this. You know I love doing different drills like dot drills, moving your feet quick on a line. That is the easiest way for me to teach you how to activate, because you don't need any equipment. And as you guys know, we do have resistance bands. We have like 200, 300,000 customers who have our resistance bands, which you could do activation using those. But I like to keep it very, very simple here on this channel. I don't like giving you guys a million things you need to buy or do. I just want you to be able to get up right now, have no excuse, and just start to activate. You can do dynamic warm-up in your bedroom. You can do dynamic warm-up in your garage, in your living room. You can activate in your garage, in your living room. You don't need crazy space. You don't need a fancy gym membership. You don't need any crazy equipment, okay? So activation phase is where you're starting to break that sweat. So we're doing things in 7 up to maybe 12-second increments, okay? So if you're doing quick feet on a line like this, you're going for 7 to 10 seconds. You pause. You want to take a little bit of a rest. You're probably going to lose your breath a little bit. You're going to feel a bit of lactic acid building up. You're going to feel a little bit of burn in your legs. Okay, then you're going to switch. And you're going to do other exercises like this. And we could list more in the description of different activation. But I just want to get the point across of how your workout should flow, right? I'm not giving you every single set, every single rep. We have other videos on this channel where we actually show you sets, reps, everything else. But I want to give you a deep dive on why, right? A lot of trainers tell you what to do and maybe even how to do, but they don't tell you why you're doing it. This is exactly why you're doing it, okay? We're activating your muscles to get you to the next phase, which is the plyometrics. So after you're done doing your dynamic warm-up, you're stretching like this, where you're no longer, and you're going to promise me right now that you're not going to bullshit. You're going to take that serious, because it's very, very, this is the catalyst That's what leads you into the next phase. You got to think of every one of these phases as a building block to the next one. And the better each building block is, the better that workout's going to be. The more compounding good workouts you have, the faster you're going to be, the more explosive you're going to be, the better habits you're going to create from that because you're going to enjoy the workouts and you're going to start to dominate at the field of core. Okay? So going into number 3, now this is plyometrics. A lot of you guys know what this is. Box jumps, right? You've jumped down boxes. I back in the day, I think I had like the world record for box jump. I jumped on a 72-inch box. I've jumped on cars, right? That's plyometrics. That's using elasticity to jump, right? Reactive strength. So for this, you could do things like ski jumps where you're coming here, you're getting down like a catcher, you're jumping over as far as you can, you go back and forth. You could do butt kicks where you're coming here and you're jumping. There's a million different plyometrics that you can do. There's bounding, there's skipping, there's single leg, there's low intensity, high intensity. There's a million different ways. We could talk more about that in the description. But I'm just kind of outlining what your workout should look like. So you got dynamic warm-up, you're going to activate, and now you're going to get into the jumps, into the hops, into the skips, the more athletic movements, the box jumps, the things of that sort. Once you're done with the plyometrics, now you're ready to get into the weight room. And there's different stacks that you can do. This isn't like the be-all, end-all way that you have to do it. There's different stacks. This is the best way that I teach athletes to start and do it on your own. These 5 phases, right? There's days where I might rip out plyometrics or only have an athlete do 1 or 2 exercises, and then I have them do 4 or 5 different exercises in the weight room. If they're an athlete who needs to work on their strength as opposed to their plyos or their reactive strength, they need to work on their limit strength, then I'll have them doing more stuff, closed chain in a weight room with weights. Now, moving into the weight room, you're going to do things like back squats. You're going to do things like deadlifts. These are for the more advanced athletes. For the younger kids, the 9, 10, 11, right? Everyone says you shouldn't be working out. Yes and no. We have another video. We can link that in the description or somewhere on this video if we can link it. We'll link it at what age you should start working out. But if you're 9, 10, 11, or you're a parent watching this for your kid, you don't have to have your kid racking weight on their back or deadlifting weight. It could be as simple as literally just working on the form, working body weight only, doing lunges with body weight only. That would be considered strength training because if you're a 10-year-old, I wouldn't recommend racking out weight on a 10-year-old's frame. So when you're in the weight room doing compound exercises like that, like hand cleans, power cleans, this is a totally separate video. Lunges, Bulgarian split squats, back squats, front squats. These are some of my favorite exercises I like athletes to do, but they are a little bit more advanced, right? So after plyometrics, you go into the weight room, and then after the weight room, the final, which I talked a little bit about in the beginning of the video, is the cool down, right? This is where you can do, this is kind of where you can bullshit a little bit. If you're sitting down and you're working out with a teammate or a friend and you can just kind of stretch it out, right? This is where you're gonna do more of holds like this. You're gonna hold for 10 to 15 seconds and then you're gonna feel that pull, right? So you could do some hammies, you could alternate, get quads, pull back like this. So I'm not gonna show you a full cool down routine, but this is just to get the point across of a cool down is when you're actually holding stretches. This is static stretching, when you're holding it. Right, you do butterflies, get your groin. You can go feet to feet with a teammate and you can hold like this and pull and you'll feel it through your hammies, your posterior chain. So that is the flow that I like putting athletes through. Now, a lot of athletes need different things, right? I can't prescribe and give a one size fits all. So there's some athletes who can squat 500 pounds, but they can't do 10 tuck jumps. There's some guys who could jump out the gym, but can't squat 300 pounds, right? Those are 2 different athletes. Those are 2 different styles of training. One's got to do more plyos, one's got to do more strength training, and vice versa. So these are just some of the things, but I'm just outlining a perfect guideline of if you follow this, regardless if you were that 500-pound squat or you're the guy that could jump out the gym, if you follow this structure, if you follow step 1 through step 5, dynamic warm-up, activation, plyometrics, strength training, cool down, if you follow that in order and you do that twice a week, you will notice tremendous results. You'll get through your workouts quicker, you're gonna feel better, your recovery phase is gonna go better. Everything's just gonna kind of fall into place a little bit better, right? And then as you get more advanced, and a lot of the guys that watch us are advanced, but we have a ton of athletes who are that 9 to 16-year-old who are just breaking in to the strength and conditioning stuff, the explosive training. So if you are in that phase, which is the majority of you watching, nail down this first and then worry about all the fancy stuff. Nail down these phases. I could sit here and I could talk science and stress shortening cycle and crazy shit to you guys and try to sound really, really smart and really, really sciencey, but then you're not gonna do it. So the reason I put this together is to give you an actual blueprint that you could follow. All you gotta do is step 1, dynamic warm-up. Get up right now, do dynamic warm-up. then activate, and then do some plyos, and then do strength training, and then do a cool down. And all that you can find on Twice Speed's channel. All right, so if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. If you like videos like this, just let us know in the comments below, and head over to twicespeed.com to find out how you can be the best athlete possible. And like I said, there is no one size fits all, but over at twicespeed.com, I can kind of get to know you a little bit more. You answer a few questions. You can kind of click around and see what we have to offer, because we do have plans that are a little bit more customized based on your needs, based on your goals, based on where you are as an athlete. So be sure to head over to twicespeed.com to see if you fit inside of our workouts and how we can help you. All right? Talk soon, guys.